Welcome to another edition of the KTTH Roundtable, where Bryan Suits and I talk about issues around a literal round table. I'll let you go first.
Bad week for Pierce County teens. Boy, are they really being smeared by these 13 and 14-year-olds shooting cops. And this is really getting, it's been consistent all week long. Two teens shot each other and died over what we'll never know because they're both dead. Two teens in a stolen Kia, they foot bail, and one of the teens, and I was wrong when I said 13 and 14-year-olds, it was 14 and 15, big difference. One of them turned around and shot at a cop and hit him in the shoulder like Dick Tracy or Magnum PI. The guy lived, but only by this much. So, you know, we're not having a cop funeral and seeing a 14-year-old ruin their life, or the other interaction is that the cops get to shoot back. And I got to say, I'm on their side. Whatever your age is, if you're shooting at a cop, they get to shoot back. They get to go home that day too. And then we know the grievance play happens, that the kid was about to turn his life around. He lit the room up with his smile.
Yep.
He dreamt of becoming an artist or whatever. But, you know, this is a cohort of people in Pierce County. They're very self-specific, about who they are. And I guarantee there's no dads at home. By the time I was 13, I was pretty well versed by my dad on the whole "don't shoot a cops" thing.
Yeah, I learned that not until I was about 19 years
but
old.
Who,
so I really got lucky.
Who taught you that?
A cop, actually.
Oh.
Well, the thing is, yes, there have been a lot of stories specifically out of Pierce County and Tacoma, but the truth is, all across Western Washington, we are seeing a huge surge in juvenile crime. And I'm certain it has nothing to do with any of the soft on crime policies, including we're not going to chase you if you're in a stolen car. Oh, and by the way, police can't even talk to you, even if they suspect you might be a witness, until you lawyer up, which of course gets in the way of an investigation, whereas someone could be going away who actually is the criminal while the cop is waiting to talk to you. I'm sure it has nothing to do with that.
And by the way, if you're saying, look at the calendar, the crime wave is about to go down, no, the Pierce County PIO, Sergeant Darren Moss, points out these are the kids that don't go to school.
Yeah.
So there's another problem there.
So let's talk about another issue that is related. In Seattle, we're going to send social workers to their potential death. Instead of sending cops to certain crisis calls, we'll be sending social workers making $35 and change an hour, which is not a lot considering the risk that they're taking. You've spoken about this story before. I've spoken about it before. Deputy Herzog, back in June of 2002, he was called to Newcastle because there was a naked guy who was having some sort of crisis. Turns out the guy had smoked crack cocaine earlier in the day. So he goes up to him, he tries to de-escalate, doesn't work, ends up getting into a scuffle. Herzog's firearm
gets disarmed,
falls out of his holster. The guy picks it up, shoots him once as Herzog is
begging
retreating.
him not to shoot him.
And by the way, because I went back and I looked at some of the details, Herzog was going away from a crowd of people, so that if a gun was in fact fired, it wouldn't hit some innocent civilian, some bystander. Yeah. He gets shot, guy stands over at that point, he's not completely incapacitated, but he's bleeding out, and he shoots at him 10 more times. He ends up dying. And so when you've got a 911 call, and now we're relying on people who are calling 911 to be experts in all of
naked crisis.
Naked guy who's in crisis. We would, of course, send a social worker to that. There's no doubt about it. So now we're just sending a social worker to go get hurt or killed. Instead of doing what they're doing in Snohomish County and Pierce County, which is embedding the social workers with police. There's value to that.
And Herzog was a Special Forces veteran. He could disarm you and kill you with your drinking straw. It can go like that fast. And so Seattle's setting itself up for a gigantic lawsuit when the first one goes sideways.
And we'll set ourselves up next week for 2 more topics on the KTTH Roundtable.
I love this one.